Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a really cool, rare telephone. This is an A&E telephone, but it's a Strowger A&E telephone, and basically this dial that you see here, the guy's name is spelled S-T-R-O-W-G-E-R, Strowger, and so basically that's the first automatic rotary dial that was invented, and later on A&E basically bought him out. And so this telephone here is Wayne's telephone from Canada. And so what we're going to be doing to this telephone is, since the dial, you can see, has a serious problem. And this dial that's in this telephone basically was designed for a switchboard or a CO office that had a setup where almost like an intercom situation would be, because these points start in the open position instead of like a normally or a normal rotary telephone that would start in a closed, their points would start in a closed situation. So this telephone could have been in a home if the CO was set up to accept it that way, those type of signals, or it was a intercom phone in some kind of a hotel situation. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. He invented this automatic rotary situation, and that's kind of where we evolved from that. And so it's pretty cool. Now, the numbers are missing on the faceplate, but it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 0. And then you would have like this 11th circle or finger wheel hole. It would say operator or long distance. So it actually has 11 openings. And then you have your finger stop here. As you can see, there's a problem with it. See the return on that? It's not supposed to do that, because this basically has a braking clutch system in it, and it should return much slower, like that. But I'm going to give you a look at this telephone. What we're going to do with this is we are going to set this telephone up so that it can receive and it can transmit, and the bells will ring. And as you can see, we're going to have to do something with a handset because it falls down on its own. Also, the receiver has a crack in it. I might be able to do a little body work to it. It probably wouldn't need it, but I may smooth it up a little bit and see what we can do. Now, whether we use the original receiver capsule and transmitter is unknown yet. Wayne wants to use this in a public area. I'm sure he probably owns a business or whatever, and so he wants to be able to show this phone and use it. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to set this telephone up to be able to be an extension phone. Now, I want quality, and he's going to use the phone. So if he's going to use the phone, let's have quality. And if I can't achieve that quality with the receiver and transmitter the way it's set up, we're going to go to a different situation where we maybe have a PC board with a modern network in it and a modern receiver and transmitter. That way he'll be able to talk on it properly, and he'll have the quality that he's going to need. And we'll still set it up to where the bells will ring. And I want to give you a look at that right now. The bells are actually on the top, so I'm kind of going to give you a look at what that looks like from a top view. So there's your bells, and basically it looks to me like this transmitter, if you look at this telephone from the front, it looks like the transmitter has been bent. So this is with the door shut all the way, and the transmitter looks to me, at me looking at it, looks like it's bent over to the left a little. And they do swivel up and down. But I'm not going to bend on this telephone. This is a rare telephone. You're not going to see many of these. And I want to give you a little better look at the center dial here and what it says on it. This black should be right down here. This number card should be right in this area. And all this should be turned around so that it's on the top. And there's supposed to be numbers here. But since we're not going to be worrying about that, I've talked to Wayne about that, and just the number card for this, for the finger wheel, is going to be kind of hard to find. And he's a little bit limited with time. So what we're going to do, and that's something that he always can do down the road. You know, he can always add that. But the phone is a really cool telephone. It's a rare telephone. And we're also going to have to switch this. It has the stab connectors on it, basically, or the nail connectors, whatever you want to call them. People call them different things. This cord's going to have to be replaced. It's a cloth cord. It's not in too bad a shape for the age of this phone. I'm not sure how long it's been on it, but if it's been replaced, it's an old replacement from the period, and but it's going to have to be replaced, and we'll go through that and get that replaced. And like I said, I'm not sure yet what we're going to do. I'm going to make a decision. This is the initial checkout. I'm going to make a decision of what's going to give him good quality sound and receive, transmit and receive. I want to go ahead and open this telephone up and show you the inside of this telephone. So we'll start moving some of this and give you a look at the inside of this dial and the inside of the telephone. Of course, you can see the bells. You got the transformer, because that's the way it was set up when it was in that intercom type situation, or the way the phone was basically designed. And from what I understand, these are 5-lead telephones, like some of the older intercom situations were. And this very well could have been in a residential home, or you know, some setting like that. It all depends on what the central office was using as equipment. If they had equipment that would understand the signals that this telephone was sending them, then it could have been in a residential setting, or it was in a commercial setting being used as an intercom. But I want to show you something here, and I'm not sure that the video will pick this up. But if you notice this point right here, when I hold this door and I try to dial, you're going to notice that point, it's open right now. So you can see that this point is actually open here. It's open. But what's going to happen is, as soon as I try to dial, you see it clicking back and forth? Well, that's your pulse signals, okay? And on a normal rotary telephone, they would start out closed. And as you can see, they start out open. There's also some other various things wrong with this telephone's dial, okay? It looks like it's all there, but it's got some issues. And one of the issues is that the rotary does not return with the braking clutch. And the braking clutch is in this area right here. You can actually see it spinning around there. I'm just kind of going through the telephone. We're not going to fix the rotary. We're not going to repair it. But this gives you a look at what one of the well, it is the first dial. They state that this is the first rotary dial made. I'm not 100% sure of that, but Strowger invented the automatic dial, and so basically, if this is not the actual first one, it's exactly like it. And from what I understand, some of these dials dialed in what we know as a closed point situation, starting out in a closed point situation, but they had some that looked exactly like them that started out in the open position, and that's the one we have here, the open position. But it's just a cool telephone. You can see the A here on the hook switch bracket that you hang your receiver up on. Now this is going to have to be repaired in a fashion to where it's held up, that it springs back and hits. We'll probably use a set of points here somewhere within this rotary to get our line out. So naturally when it's down, it's going to be on hook, and then when it springs up and you lift up the receiver, it'll go on hook. So off hook, on hook. But as you can see now, it's limp, and it's just not going to return back up. And I'm not sure that this rotary was designed to go up. I'm not sure. It was probably spring-loaded at one time, but, you know, logically you would think that it was supposed to spring up. But although this rotary configuration and design looks like everything is here, there could be a piece or two missing. I haven't been that far into it, but it isn't going to matter anyway because we are not going to use that. And we also have an old capacitor inside. Here's our old capacitor. Here's our set of bells, our windings for our bell. This is an old transformer. This could actually come out. I'm going to try to leave it in because it came with a phone. And then you have your coil over here, and you actually have all your connections that come up through the bottom of the box. I'm going to try to move them out of your way so you can kind of see those connections down in there. If you look down in here, you're going to see where our connections are made. And what would happen is the lines would come in, and also the line for the receiver that had the stab or nail on it that you would screw down, and that's how you made your connection. And they came from the bottom of the phone. Now, the way that Wayne is going to get, I talked to him today, the way Wayne is going to connect this telephone up is he's going to mount it on the wall, and then basically what he's going to do is he's going to mount it on the wall, but he's going to bring a modular line cord through a hole, and we're going to make that hole for him. I really don't like drilling holes through these old phones, but you know, you have to do what you have to do to use them. And for him to be able to utilize this telephone, we're going to have to do that because he's not going to hardwire it. So what we're going to do is we're going to install a modular port in this situation. The phone will ring, the receiver will work, and the transmitter will work. But what will happen is he can simply plug that line cord into a modular port when he gets it hooked up and mounted back on a wall. This is just a totally cool phone. Look at all the hinges that they put on this. Now, you see the big wooden wall telephones only with about 3 hinges in them. This thing here has like 5 hinges. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's just how they made things back in those days. I mean, if that's not a cool dial, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just a totally cool telephone. And this telephone was made in Chicago, Illinois. It's an automatic electric, but they add the first name on that, Strowger or Strowger or whatever, however you pronounce the guy's name. But he is the guy that invented this rotary dial, or the first automatic rotary dial. And this is a 1907 model, but I assume the dial is older because I've seen this dial on phones that go back into similar dials that go back into the 1800s, very early 1900s. So the dial on this telephone is probably older, or the design is older, but this model of phone put together is supposed to be a 1907. So it's just a very, very cool phone, and it's a rare phone with a rare dial, and there is some damage to the mouthpiece here. I'm going to pull back the video a little bit. There's some some damage here, but I don't think it's that great. And if I can get a chance, that's actually covered in material and it's metal underneath. But if I get a chance, I will definitely try to repair that. But we're kind of on a limited time frame. He's got a function going on, and he wants to get the phone back in working condition before this situation he's got there. So, there's a lot of little issues and details that I'd like to try to take care of. Now, will I be able to get to them all? I don't know. Sometimes these things take time, but I'm going to try to get the phone back to him as quickly as I can, and we're kind of going to go from there. He's also wants to put his number. I'm going to tuck these wires back in. He also wants to put his number, when we get this straightened out here on the front, he wants to put his number in the little number card area. And so actually that would be sitting like this, but the finger wheel would be up here. So we'll get his number in there if we can. We got to take it all apart and see what we got. I don't really think that this should be redone. I think what he should do is, find some products that he can treat the wood with. A lot of times you'll take the value right out of these things if you start refinishing them and everything. Maybe you can find a product to get this wood from being so dried out. And I'm not sure what this hole is for, but there's a hole here where the finger stop is, and it goes all the way through the phone. And there's a little metal bracket back here with a hole in it, like it's been picture framed or something. I'm not sure what that hole would be for. I really doubt it's for the handset cord, but it might be, because from what I understand, there's a 5-wire connection down there, and that's all the connections that are there, and the receiver would take 2 of them. So if you have 5 wires to feed it and go back to the CO with, I'm not sure. And including in those 5 wires, it might have been a 3-wire with the 2 wires being 2 of them the receiver. I'm just not sure if the phone cord went through this hole or not. I'm not sure. It just doesn't look like it's big enough to take the receiver capsule cloth cord, and I don't see any smashed parts except for, unless this is it here, that might have, the receiver might have came right out of this hole. So it's hard to say. I can't find any real decent pictures. I haven't searched forever on the internet, but if I find a picture, then that's the way we'll take it through. If that's not what we find, we'll take it up from underneath and put the receiver capsule in that way. The other thing I want to show you is the back of this telephone. There is a crack that runs through this telephone through the back here, and I'm going to try to stabilize that. But you can see how this grid was where they would run their bare wires or their wires up through these grids and into different sections of the phone. You can see some of the actual cloth cord right here, where they come up and run over to where they want to go with it, run up and then go in. And it's really cool how they did their grid pattern and for wiring in the old days. And you'll see that on many, many different wooden wall telephones. And it's really cool to kind of see how they did things. But we want to stabilize this case, the backboard. It's got its crack in it that runs all the way down. But we'll try to get that stabilized for Wayne and kind of go from there. I want to give you a back view of this telephone. That's kind of how the bells and transmitter look. It's just a very cool setup, rare phone. You're not going to see these very often. I've talked to people in the business, and you don't come across these very often. But, the tongue and groove is pretty good condition. It's just this backboard that has been damaged. And Funny thing is, this telephone was produced in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm in southern Illinois. So the telephone is actually coming back to Illinois to get some type of a refurbishment so that it can be used again. This telephone, who knows how long it was in service, but it's old. And now it's going to be able to be used again, and that's cool. So it made its way back to Illinois to be repaired so that people can talk on it once again. And so this telephone, after it's repaired, it may be around the way it's built. It could be around for a long, long time, and I hope it is. So this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. And this is Wayne's telephone from Canada, and this is a 1907 wood wall model with a Strowger automatic rotary dial in it. So you're not going to see one of these again for a while. They're pretty rare. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.